Oh man, this is going to be an episode, huh? There's a lot going on the internets, and the big news is that The Acolyte was not renewed for season 2. Big debate on whether or not you should say it was canceled or not, but it was not renewed. The show is not coming back. To no one on this channel's surprise, this was a show that just didn't deliver. But there's a lot of conflicting opinions as far as why it either should have happened, shouldn't have happened, and we'll discuss as much as we can inside of this topic, because it's a divisive one, to say the least. Tamora Morrison, he's not coming back, as Boba Fett anyway, in The Mandalorian and Grogu. What does that mean? How come? What are they doing over at Lucasfilm now? Are they evaluating everything that's going on? Are there going to be some big changes? We'll discuss all of it. But we will get to it, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done that already, please do it. Comment, do everything. There, we got it going on here. We got a lot. Reactions, reviews, got more stuff coming down the pike. So, it's the big thing. It's me and it's you. It's the Acolyte Talk. Here we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. It is the big thing. It is Tuesday. Last night, big news dropped on the internets. Yeah, man. I mean, it's something that we've been talking about on this show for a bit. I said it to Mike. I said it to Roxy. I said it every time this show was brought up. I said there's no way this show can get renewed. There's just no way. You can't renew a show that has been so divisive, not successful, ratings dropping, because a portion of... There's a lot of shows out there that were either good and they just didn't do very well, or they were not good and there's a lot of people who liked it, but not enough people to keep it on the air. And it's what I keep trying to say. It's like, you see, it's... First of all, let's hit this one point, okay, with the Acolyte. And it's Star Wars in general. And this really started happening around the 2017 mark, right around The Last Jedi. And I've said this many times. It's fandom in general, but I think it's very specific with Star Wars, that it becomes no different than what's happening in politics. There's a political side that takes one side of it. There's a political side that takes the other side of it, and becomes this political battle. And this was evident in the announcement yesterday, because also showing very much so the awareness that there's a lot of people out there that are hating the show to hate it. Anything Disney does, it doesn't matter what they do, they're going to hate it. They're going to talk about it and say that there's agendas and things, and they hate no matter what it is, and they're going to hate it. That's what they do. It's their channels. It's part of it. In the same argument, there's these people who just want it to succeed no matter what, and even if it's poor quality stuff, they'll defend it to the ends of the earth. And then, because there are those people who hate everything, when there's legitimate criticism, I saw tweets all over the place of this. Oh, well, no, the misogynist won. Steph is a misogynist? Oh, the straight white male has won now. Steph is a straight white male? I've seen tons of women who didn't like this show. Seen tons of people who didn't like the show, not just people who are hating it. People just go, this is not good. It's not John Roca about it. You've seen John Roca on Twitter. John Roca is not afraid to get into fights about stuff that he feels, is fighting the fight that he fights. But he doesn't feel that about this show. This is not a good show, in his opinion. Didn't like it. But it doesn't necessarily mean right away that they're part of the enemy if they don't like the show. And that's what happened all over the place with this. It's like, oh, well, the bad guys won. No, a portion of the people who didn't like this show were going to hate it no matter what. There's no argument there. It's agreed. But there's people who are rooting for this show and wanted this show to be good. And it wasn't, in those people's opinion. In the other side of it, I tried to get my friend PJ Campbell on, who I saw, he tweeted and he said, this news all the way around, not good in general. And I want to ask him, I'm like, business-wise, do you think this makes sense to spend $200 million on a show? And the point, again, has to be this. When you are making a show for $200 million, whether you like it or not, you have to appease everyone. in the same way that the Mandalorian season 1 and season 2. Well, I don't want to go after the people who hate, who are going to just hate it and this and that. A lot of those people like Mandalorian season 1 and season 2. And it was the one show that was able to bring apart, it was like, there was Rise of Skywalker that everyone was like, this trilogy is just nothing. And it was like, 1 and 2 are going to stink. There's no way, I'm sorry, the Mandalorian season 1 is just not going to be good. And it was really good. And it had the fan base on the same page. A lot of people were loving it. This particular show, and I said this, and I'll reiterate this, if you make this show the same way you made it, for $40 million, if you made this show written the same way and everything, and you're just aiming towards the people who love it, for $40 million, you go, I don't care if anybody else doesn't like it. We spent $40 million on this show. It didn't cost us so much to make. We needed to get X amount of people to watch it for the amount of money we made it for. So we're going to do it again. We're going to do season 2 out of it. When you're doing a $200 million show, business-wise, turn your emotional caps off for a second. Everybody who loves this show, look at it business-wise. Well, how can you get us so invested and you cancel it? Because it didn't deliver. Whether if you think, well, it did deliver on story for me, great. It didn't deliver in numbers. It didn't deliver in getting the overall fan base excited. Well, they wanted to hate it anyway. They didn't hate 1 and 2 of A Mandalorian. They didn't hate Andor. Andor's getting to season 2. It just didn't deliver. And so what I won't argue with is I saw certain tweets out there saying, well, they're saying right away, this show got canceled and it shouldn't be handled as that it was canceled. And even so, to be completely honest, my first thumbnail was canceled. And well, it's a good argument that it wasn't necessarily canceled, but it was certainly set up for a season 2. It just wasn't renewed. It wasn't renewed. They had plans for it. They wanted it to go to, Leslie Hedlund wanted it to go to a season 2. Everybody involved wanted it to go to season 2, but they looked and said it didn't deliver. So they said, we can't continue on. We're not going to spend the money to make this go on. So I want to get into the actual news story itself, and here it is. All right, now this says Lucasfilm has canceled its Star Wars series The Acolyte, with the studio opting not to proceed with a second season reporting deadline. The decision comes over a month after the 8-episode first season wrapped its run on the Disney Plus service. The show hailed from creator, director, executive producer, and showrunner Leslie Hedlund. The first series set in the times of the High Republic, the news isn't a shock as the show only did softly positive critic reviews and it was massively divisive among the fandom. Overall viewership wasn't great. It had a strong start, becoming the biggest series premiere on Disney Plus this year and snagging 11.1 million views globally after 5 days of streaming. But that momentum couldn't be sustained. Though it hit 7 and 6 on the Nielsen streaming charts in its first 2 weeks, it fell out of the top 10 until the finale when it limped to number 10 and pulled in 335 minutes viewed, the lowest to date for a Star Wars series finale. Hedlund previously indicated she had pitched her ideas for a second season to the studio. Looks like they won't be happening. It says it all. You know what I mean? It says it all. It started off with the big ratings. Why? Because people wanted to see what was pitched. The idea of going back in a different time, a different era, past the Skywalkers, right? And inside of that era, discovering the formation, whether it was Rule of Two, the idea of leading with villains, and the Sith mantra and the Sith lore. That's what was pitched in that 2020 announcement from Kathleen Kennedy, was seeing that the dark side of it all. And somewhere down the line, they decided to go with this twin storyline. And there was really, you could argue that the end was kind of what they pitched, but by that time it was like, I stand by this. I think going with that twin storyline was the worst thing they could ever have done. They should have had Daphne Keene. They should have had Saul. That whole storyline, that's it. That's your whole storyline. And maybe she turns, or maybe it's something's happening within and there's a murder mystery between the two of them. It's a true detective story. That's it. And you can find out whether it's Manny, who I thought was fantastic in the show, and he is the acolyte, or he is the apprentice to Darth Plagueis. And they just, for some reason, this witch storyline and everything else too, it just to me was a misfire. But they say it in this report. As I mentioned going into it, it's not officially a cancellation when it was never approved or never confirmed or greenlit for season 2 in the first place. Not officially cancellation. It was a misfire on their part again to say, okay, let's set up everything for season 2. Cross our fingers so we can get season 2. You didn't get it. And that's why you didn't throw everything out there in the end there to try to set up for a season 2, because it just wasn't working. The idea behind, well, all the bad guys who talk, smack about this and they hate mongering, they won. No, they didn't. Because if those same people were screaming and yelling about how horrible the show was, and the show was doing the kind of numbers in the season premiere, they wouldn't care about what those people were saying. And I doubt that they did at all. The fan base was not on the same page. And I'm not talking about the fans that are just screaming and yelling and hating. I'm talking about the fan base, people who actually wanted to like this show. There's many people who just was like, nobody watched it. People outside of the bubble, like the hardcore, everything is awesome kind of, I love this, they're going to love it. And they're going to watch it. And they're going to defend it. And they should. It's what they want to do. They liked the show. And I think it's bullshit for people to say, well, the fact that you like this, you suck. Leave them alone. They liked it. But those same people can't say, well, the bad guys won because it got canceled. No, your show that you liked didn't work. It's not here. I like the show called Over There. Nobody watched that show. I loved it. It was a great show on FX years ago. Nobody watched it. And I think it was a pretty damn good show. I was bummed. But you know what can you do? Shows that you like get canceled. Movies that you like don't get sequels. Where's Dread 2? It's just this mentality and this idea of like, this is why when I mention budgets and all these other things, Billy, why are you so concerned with budgets? It's because of stuff like this. When you put $200 million into a budget, you have to. You got to throw politics out the window. And you have to understand that if you're spending $200 million, there's only so far you can spread your web into the same time of ideals that you have. It's just numbers. In the same way you do it when you're trying to get people to watch your movies. You want to go spend $30 million on a movie? You do whatever hell movie you want to do. You're doing a $200 million movie. You want to get everyone in the theater. And that's how the business works. And the other thing you have to do is that the show just, in my opinion, just wasn't written well. It wasn't written well. There's tons of stuff every episode. I reacted to every single episode. And I was like, what's that character doing? Why are they doing that? Why are they going back there again? We saw that whole thing. They showed the same episode twice. And it really is. It's like this whole argument that's going back and forth. As I said in the opening of this thing, it becomes a political thing. That's all it is. It's back and forth. It's not about, well, I mean, I shouldn't say that nobody did this, because I saw a few people going, look, the bottom line is this. I wanted to like this show. I was hoping it was going to be good. I was rooting against the screaming people and the hateful people. I'm always rooting against them. But as far as watching the show, as far as quality show, it wasn't a quality show. I sat down with a friend of mine, and he's not a hate monger. He's a guy who likes Star Wars. And he goes, hey, I was going to watch this Acolyte thing, but I heard it stinks. It ain't good. I saw a trailer. It didn't look good to me. I said, I'll be honest, and I don't think you'd like it. I know him. I said, I don't think you like it. He's like, all right, I'm not going to watch it. My brother, the same thing. Massive Star Wars fan. Said, I can't watch it. It just doesn't, try to watch a little of it. It's just not for me. Didn't watch it. And the people who were watching it and tuned in, something happened where they said, okay, I'm going to watch this show, clearly from the ratings, and said, I'm going to watch this show. And then they bailed. Everybody bailed on it. A good show doesn't keep people, away. Keeps people on board. So, look, a lot of times season premieres are going to lose people afterwards. It happens at House of the Dragon. It's a matter of how much can you sustain. Not even barely cracking into the top 10 on a Star Wars finale of television. That's crazy. It's crazy. But it's like, I don't know. And it's like, it really is. It's like, I saw all those tweets. It's like the first thing people go to is like, oh, well, the misogynist won, the racist won. It's like, no, there are people who are loud. And that's what Twitter and that's what social media does. There are people who are loud. And I say this to my daughter when she's on I tell her to stay off comments in general because she comes back with, like, she'll read something about something that she loves and she sees that a few people didn't like it. And she's like, am I wrong for liking this? I'm like, no, you like what you like. Who gives a crap? There's people, just loud people who are going to hate things no matter what. And they're going to scream and yell, but don't be afraid to give your opinion. And that goes to the same. If you think this show stinks, you're allowed to say that. But you shouldn't tell other people that they're wrong. Oh, you're a terrible person for liking this show, you damn shield. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. If they like it, they like it. Who gives a crap? It's not a good show, in my opinion. Didn't work. Clearly. And I said it. I was like, there's no world, and if you watch this show, you've seen it. There is no world where this show gets renewed. At least people who are, it shows a bit of competence in business. You can't. How do you justify it? Well, we're going to give season 2. This is what I would ask these people who are out there tweeting about how it needed a season 2. In the same way that I ask my friend John Hoey every single time when he says, I'll make Solo 2 happen. How do you justify that? How do you justify it? What budget would you ask for? If you were going to say, okay, I'm going to give you Solo 2, and even though it was, it had a pocket of people who liked it, how much are you asking for to do a second? You're going to do $150 million again, or whatever that was? Maybe even more. I forget how much that movie was, but is that more because of the reshoots? It costs way more than that. But how much are you going to ask for? Same thing I asked the people who want Acolyte season 2. How much do you, okay, fine, we're going to give you a season 2. How much budget do you want for season 2? Same as last time. You're nuts. You're nuts. Because you liked it? That's terrible business. Would not hire you to be a part of that company. Terrible business. You just can't do it. It's like, it really is. And it's more about, they're not arguing based off of business. They're just not. They're arguing off of emotion. They're arguing off because they think they lost a fight. And as he didn't. They might take victory in it. And they might say, wow, look what we did. We made enough videos for it. And they're not going to make it. As I said, if they made a good show, if the writing was better and people are on the edge of their seats, the people who, it's very similar to politics. There is you're people right now that I'm talking to, who you're going to vote for in November, no matter what. It doesn't matter what the person is going to do. Whatever side you're on, doesn't matter. You're going to vote for that person. There's nothing that can change your mind. There's people right here who are waiting to hear, why should I vote for that person? Why should I vote for that person? To hell with it. I'm going to vote for that person who's sitting over there because I don't want to deal with either one of these people. Those are the people in the middle there. That the middle people in every election, every time, it's like, those are the people that you're going after. The same as with this show, with these shows. You got to get the people, the normal people who are just like, well, what are they watching right now? Let's get them to watch our show. How? Make a good show. That's it. Sounds simple. Not as simple, clearly. But that's it. And there's going to be, and the other question is this, and this is, I saw this tweet and I hate that I agree with it. And not because it wasn't a good tweet, just because it's so stupid. They said, well, you know what Lucasfilm is going to do now? They're going to look at this and they're going to say, it doesn't look like people want to watch stuff in the Old Republic or the High Republic. Both. They want to just see stuff in the time period that we were looking at. That's what they're going to take away from this. Unfortunately. I feel that in my soul that's what's going to happen. And it's like, no, just put together a story. Like, just dive into it more. Stay away from the old school George, faster, more intense. No, stop it. And look, Rocha said this. I have no idea whether or not this is true. He believes that Filoni had a lot of meddling inside of this show and changed some of the writing. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. If it is, you got to get the guy away from script writing and getting involved in the story stuff. If it is, maybe it's not. I don't know. I wonder if he's going to be, how involved he's going to be with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, if at all. And that's the next thing, is that where do you go with all this now? Because Star Wars Celebration was very telling. And we'll get into that. We'll get into the Boba Fett stuff. We'll get into all of it. And before I do, I want to tell you guys, each and every show, I am blessed to be here with you guys, and the fact that you've been supporting the show for as long as you have been, or maybe you're brand new to it. Our sponsors keep us going, and we pride ourselves by getting people that we really think that you guys are going to enjoy and that you're going to like. And that's why I'm going to tell you both about AG1, who we've been with forever, and now Rocket Money, who we've been with forever. And I'll tell you about both of them. Here you go.
I've told you about Rocket Money, guys, and the reason why for Rocket Money was so important is that I for a long time I used to do these things where I'd be on my phone and I'd start searching for these apps. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll sign up. Oh, for free? Yeah, it's free for now, but then it's going to be $20, $30 a month, and you forgot that you're even paying it. And I was like, oh, well, this Rocket Money lets you know about what subscriptions that you have that you're not paying attention to. It can cancel subscriptions for you. It really is amazing, and it just cuts so much time out of my schedule, and I love it because you don't even know how much you're paying in subscriptions, and you're probably paying way more than you think, because over 74% of people have subscriptions they've forgotten about, and I definitely did that. I can tell you that right now. Like, there was a couple. I'm telling you, some of these apps, I tried some of these apps, and I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot all about it. You think you spend around $62 per month on subscriptions, something like that, but it's close to about 300. You're close to about 300 a month, because Rocket Money is also, it's a personal finance app. And it cancels your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors all of your spending, and it helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Because I got full control over my subscriptions. I have a clear view of my expenses. It helped tremendously on this move. And you don't want to waste money. So it's got over 5 million users, and they say from what they said, the average people, I think overall, everyone that's using it, 500 million in canceled subscriptions. Wow. It saves about $740 a year. It's great. So stop wasting money on things that you don't use. You just cancel your unwanted subscriptions. You go to rocketmoney.com/thing, rocketmoney.com/thing. Very easy. Rocketmoney.com. And I got to tell you about AG1. You guys know AG1. I mean, if you've been listening to this show long enough, you know that I love AG1. And people keep asking me. They notice. John even said when I started, new look, 20 pounds I lost. One of those reasons. AG1 became part of my routine, because for a long time I wasn't paying attention to what was going on in my body. It just wasn't. For me, I read labels, I verify that everything is up to the quality I need, and that is why I've stayed with AG1 for as long as I have. It is a research-backed foundational nutrition supplement, and it delivers daily nutrients, gut health support, and is backed by multiple research studies, so you can trust what you're putting into your body. Because I like coffee. I used to drink so much coffee to keep up, but I don't need it anymore, not as much, because after drinking AG1, I have realized that I have all this energy and I need less coffee to power my day. It turns out I'm not alone, because in a research study, 91% of people noticed they needed less coffee after 60 days of drinking AG1. 97% of people in a research study felt more energy after 30 days of drinking AG1. That's crazy. 91% of participants noticed that they need less coffee after 60 days of drinking AG1. That's me. Energy is a majorly important reason why it comes to I need so much energy for parenting. I can tell you that right now. AG1 contains ingredients to sustain energy so you can be the best version of yourself within each day. And it really has worked for me, and it's helped me on the plane, everything. It's easy, it's satisfying to start your journey with AG1. But if you go to AG1, and you can get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. You got to go to drinkag1.com/bigthing. drinkag1.com/bigthing. It's the one product I trust to support my whole body health. It's AG1.
All right, thank you to both AG1 and Rocket Money. As I mentioned beforehand, they are and have been with us for so long, and it's because you guys keep getting them, and you keep trying them, and you keep talking about how much you love them. And that is why. Click on those links, enjoy it, get yourself something. You'll support yourself, you support your show. Your show? Yeah, your show too. Let's keep on going with this, because this is going to tie into the Acolyte stuff and everything else, but this is Dark Horizons. Don't expect a Boba Fett in The Mandalorian and Grogu. It doesn't look like he's going to be part of it. Speaking at Fan Expo, Tamora Morrison was asked if he was going to take part in the film, which is shooting and will effectively replace the 4th season of The Mandalorian. Morrison says it's not happening, and the character isn't expected to pop up again anytime soon. He said, I'm still waiting for a phone call, to be quite honest. I think we're just put on the shelf for a little bit. Maybe it will come off the shelf later. The character has undergone a major change of fortune in recent years. Initial excitement about his return in The Mandalorian led to the spin-off series, The Book of Boba Fett, which was arguably the worst received Star Wars until The Acolyte came along. Either way, any plans for a continuation of that show has ended, and now there's no word as when the character may return. It's very similar to what we were talking about with the Acolyte. You didn't see this kind of, defense of Boba Fett because I think that everybody was on the same page with it. Also, it was also a bad representation of what they did in The Mandalorian. I forget what season it was. I think it was season 2, when Boba Fett shows up. Very similar to that old school feel of the guy on the edge, and then they end it with him blowing away a Bib Fortuna, and you're like, whoa, this is sign me up. Great tease to what we're getting. And then similar to the Acolyte, where it's pitched as one thing. This time it's pitched as The Godfather or The Sopranos in space or whatever it is. Nothing even close. Nothing even close. And to Tamora Morrison, he said the same thing. I wanted to stay mysterious. I tried to give my lines away to Fennec. I thought it would be way better if she was the one who was saying this stuff. She was the best part of the whole show, by the way. And he's like, I wanted to stay mysterious. I wanted to have more of that edge. I didn't want to take my helmet off as much. He understood the character, and the powers that be didn't. And that is the issue right now. And it's the overall issue of what's going on with Lucasfilm. It just is. It's just not in a place where they know what is going on. You have one person who has an idea of exactly what he thinks Star Wars should be in Filoni. He has his own ideas, and he was trained by Lucas, so he thinks this is the way it needs to be. And he has certain idea, this is what Star Wars is, this is the philosophy, and he's pretty stubborn on it. And then you get Kathleen Kennedy, who makes decisions on who the hot director is at the time, and then they have a vision of what they want to do and how they want to hit it, and then they overspend on budgets, and then they don't get along with the director, and then they lose a director left and right. They announce projects left and right. They drop out things, and it's like it's a complete mess. It's a complete mess, and they don't know really what they're doing. They don't know where here's a timeline. We're going to do stuff in the Old Republic and the High Republic and Dawn of the Jedi and this and that and this. And it's like, well, is that really going to happen? And why are you announcing all that stuff? You can't. It's like they have one good meeting and like, well, let's go with that. Let's go with that. Well, that's our meeting. We had a great meeting, and that's our plan now. Let's do that. And they're gonna, like, as I mentioned before, they're gonna take out of this whole Acolyte thing that people don't want to see that. So they're gonna stop greenlighting stuff in the High Republic, and it couldn't be farther from the truth. The whole reason people tuned in to Episode 1 was to see that era, was to see what and how they were going to explore it, to get away. It was one of the most intriguing things that most people said was how cool it was to go outside the Skywalker era. And it's just the story they told didn't work. And now the fact that I do think that Tamora Morrison is going to show up. In general, he'll probably show up in Ahsoka Season 2 as Rex. He'll probably show up more so as Clone Troopers. But I think Boba Fett could show up, depending on how they map this whole thing out with Filoni's movie. They got to have Season 2 of Ahsoka, which is another show. The writing needs to change dramatically on that show. That show was written like an animated show. And there's no insult to animated show. There's Rebels 1, Rebels 2, all the seasons for Rebels were written very well, and Clone Wars written really well. But the difference is you can write in a different pace and a different feel and tone in animation that you can't get away with in live action. If you wrote that scene with the Death Troopers and all that stuff, the zombie troopers, in animation, it played in the same way. It plays significantly different in animated, and it would come off like, oh, that was so cool the way that they did that. And it came off goofy. And like the whole thing with the way that Sabine got the Force and like these little moments that they just weren't paying attention to, and certain little moments that they're not, that you could change. There's so many elements. There's so many elements in the Acolyte. There's so many elements in Boba Fett. There's so many elements in Obi-Wan. They're all there. And it's just like the decisions. You jump to Obi-Wan. Let's make a show. What are they pitching on? The fact that there's one final battle. That's how it was pitched at Celebration. One final battle between Obi-Wan and Anakin. He realizes that he's out there and he's going to try to get his friend. And the whole pitch, the whole thing was on that Return of the Jedi moment of Obi-Wan once thought as you did. Because I always said, when did that happen? We never really saw. When did Obi-Wan think that? If the whole mission was him going he's alive. He's alive. I sensed it. I feel it. I've got to try to get him back. This whole war could turn if I can get my friend back. And his whole mission is well, you got to watch Luke. I can't. If I can turn him, that's it. And he tries to figure a way to get there. Instead, you got young Leia, and you're messing things up with what's going on. The girl was wonderful in the show. The young girl as Leia, I thought she was really, really great, but unnecessary. And then Reva, who you put her in a different show completely, and it can work. But the poor actress, you put her in there, and you're setting her up to fail, because the whole time that every time she's on screen, you're like, enough of this, wrap it up. Let's see Obi-Wan and Vader. Not fair. But that's what happened. In the end fight, you got Obi-Wan and Vader, and then she's chasing Beru and Owen around. I don't care if it is Joel Edgerton. I don't care. Get me back to the fight. It's just they're not thinking. And that whole Benny Hill scene, you want to laugh your face off, type in Obi-Wan Benny Hill scene, and it's hilarious. It's one of my favorite things on the internet. And it's so accurate. And it's the same thing. And then the idea of like, oh, you know what we're going to do? We're going to greenlight a $180 million Acolyte show that we don't know anything about. We don't really know. The story's okay. It's fine. We're going to, here's $180 million. And we hope people will watch it. What about Obi-Wan? Yeah, give it 70. Obi-Wan? You only give 70? Yeah, 70's fine for Obi-Wan. What? And just shoot it on the volume. That's it. And I know it was during pandemic. It was tougher to do. I understand that. And they wanted to get it done. They wanted to put it out there. But it's just like it just ties into the decisions that are being made. Same thing. Look, Mandalorian season 3. Katie's a very close friend. It was, and I thought she was the best part of the whole series, whether I knew her or not. I would say that she's the best part of that whole season. Bo-Katan. But the decisions again of what was happening in there. Well, everybody loves Grogu. Got to put him back together again with Din. We set this whole thing up. He's going to train with Luke, and now he's gone. And then you put that together. The fact that they even got back together happened in Boba Fett. It's like, who's making these plans? And then let's talk about the movies. The movies in general, they don't know what they're doing with it. They know that Jon Favreau, who is a very accomplished filmmaker, who's going to probably, in my opinion, I think, and this is something maybe some of you guys don't want, I want this, and I think other people want this. I think that this movie will look and feel the closest to the original trilogy than anything we've seen thus far, pairing with Rogue One, or maybe in the same general area, right? Or maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. But I think for the most part, he's a kid of that time. He loves that time. So I think that is what it's going to feel like. Now, it's very similar to what is happening with Marvel. We knew Deadpool and Wolverine was going to hit. We knew it was going to hit. In the same way we knew Guardians would hit. The question is, could you deliver after that movie? And so after, I forget what came out, I think it was the Marvels that came out after Guardians 3, that didn't work. That didn't deliver. So now they are looking to get it going with Captain America. And if they hit with that, and then they can hit with Thunderbolts, then they're going to be moving again. Star Wars hasn't had a movie out since 2019. It was Rise of Skywalker, which is one of the lowest rated critic movies ever in Star Wars, which was then, before that, was, well, I guess it was Solo, which was the lowest box office movie. And before that was the most divisive live action film in The Last Jedi. So it's like, yes, the argument box office wise is like, yeah, well, they all made, minus Solo, made $1 billion. It's true. And I've said that. I said that's a lot of the reasons why Kathleen Kennedy was kept her job. She can show, hey, I made $1 billion. But the goal is always, and it goes back to this whole conversation with Acolyte, the goal is always to unite your fan base. If you want a big IP fan base, be stupid not to. It's like, yes, look, there are people that you don't want watching your stuff. I'm sure, because they don't align with you politically. They don't align with you. But it's like there's when you're putting stuff out, you're going, hey, I got to get everybody on board with this thing because we're spending too much money. I made the point already earlier, but I'm telling you, it is how the business works. You might not like it, but it is what it is. But I think it ultimately, though, comes down to good writing. Because even if those people like it, you know what I mean? You want them to like it, but you really want your core fan base to love it. And you want to be, say, okay, look, great. The people who are screaming and yelling, they're happy now too. We shut them up. But we're really happy that the people in the middle we were going after, they weren't even watching it. They didn't know Star Wars coming out. They're watching it. They loved it. And the fan base, of course, who loves it, they love it even more. And they're fighting for it. But now you're always going to get somebody who bitches and moans about it. It doesn't matter. I mean, look at movies like, look, Oppenheimer, which is a great movie. There are people who hate that movie. There are people who hate The Departed. There are people who look at Barbie. Barbie did great. I didn't love Barbie, but I didn't hate it. And I understood why it made the money that it made. And it's like, everything has to move together. And so when it comes to these movies, when they're putting these movies out, we don't know what the hell we're doing with them. What are we doing with these movies? You got Mandalorian and Grogu, which has to deliver. And it comes out in May of 2026. It's set up for success in so many ways. It's the first Star Wars movie since Rise of Skywalker. It'll be 5 years, whatever. And, 6 years. 6 years. It'll be 6 years. No. Am I 7? Wow, my math's off, guys. 7 years. It'll be 7 years. I went through a lot of math right there, but it's 7 years from the last time they put a movie out. If I'm Bob Iger, my head is spinning around going, how in the world did we spend all this money on a bunch of shows? That's all we've got. Where's the return in box office? You're supposed to have a Patty Jenkins movie out. Nothing. Taika? Nothing. Where's that Ryan Johnson trilogy? Nothing. Is Mangold thing happening? We don't know. Maybe. Sean Levy? Yeah, he's on the back burner. Okay, what about the Rey movie? We haven't talked about it really a lot. We bring it up here and there, but nothing locked in. When's it coming out? Well, can we put it out in 2025? Should we? Avatar's coming out. Oh, yeah, 2026. So 2026 is when this movie comes out. This the May movie. Set up for success. And then you have what's coming out in December. We don't know what's coming out in December. Is it going to be the Rey movie? Are they having second thoughts about it? Do they think that, it might not deliver now? Do they go with Mangold? Do they go with Sean Levy because Sean Levy's hot right now? Are they panicking? I think the answer is yes, they're panicking. I don't think they really know. And this is when I say Star Wars Celebration was very curious. What they did in the positive for Star Wars Celebration. They didn't over-announce stuff. They didn't show timelines of things they can't deliver on. They didn't announce directors that they can't deliver on. They didn't, stories and all these different things. They're holding back because on television side, it looks like we're getting Andor season 2, Ahsoka season 2, and then they haven't announced anything. The Lando thing doesn't seem like it's going to happen. And then someone tagged me on, well, Lando got canceled. Of course it did. So, don't calm down, guy. The movie's coming out. No, it isn't. They don't know what they're doing right now. So you have this mess to where they're like, okay, let's hold back. Let's not announce anything. It's Skeleton Crew, obviously. Skeleton Crew comes out at the end of the year. Let's see how that delivers. Now, that's going to be an interesting one before we dive into the Star Wars Celebration stuff, because Skeleton Crew, as I said, through that, you've got filmmakers and the tone that they're going for. Should they hit it and put together an actual script that works? Now, this is where you're going to have the haters automatically who are screaming about suburbs and all these things and looking for, it's a kid's thing and they've just it's not for me, blah, blah, blah. And they're going to go into it and they're going to dive down and they're going to hate it no matter what. There's going to be that pocket of fans, or pocket of people rather, that are going to hate this show if it's good or if it's not. So we push them to the side, right? And then those same people that if the show turns out to be good and you like it, will make videos about you, call you names, and do all that. We know that they're there. They're never going to go away. Now, if the show is good and the show delivers, and the show actually, because if you look at what Sean Levy does, and not Sean Levy, rather, John Watts. And John Watts, who did The Old Man and really can craft some stories, whether it's Stranger Things. I keep saying Stranger Things. He didn't do that. Sean Levy. I'm getting the two of them confused. John Watts, The Old Man, Spider-Man, those things. And they're going for that Amblin tone. Now, if you know right away and they establish what it is right away, and that you know that your leads are kids, and you know that it's like, okay, but is it going to be one of those things that I just put in front of my kids, but I go, that's a really good show. It's cute. Is it one of those? Or is it like, whoa, this was it made me feel like a kid again, and it's really well written. I care about these characters. I want to see what's happening. That would be a win for them if they can do that, for sure. And they need that show to be good, because if it's not, it's one of those, because out of the two of those shows, Skeleton Crew and Acolyte, nobody, I mean, yes, you have it in the title, Star Wars Skeleton Crew. Jude Law is going to be the one getting people to watch this right now, because there's not a lot of intrigue unless it's it's a critical hit. So it's got a lot to work. It's got a lot working against it, but it's coming out around the Christmas time, season. It's around, I think, the end of December. I can't figure what the date was, but either way, it's got a shot. It's got a shot to do well, carrying into January. So then we get Andor. Andor season 2 is going to do significantly better than season 1 did. And this is the difference with streaming, and we'll get into that in just a moment. Before I do, I wanted to tell you guys about both of our wonderful sponsors that we have on the show. And I've talked to you about Liquid IV, and I've been getting them on the show a lot more now because you guys have been enjoying them. And Joy Mode, Joy Mode. If you don't know Joy Mode, you're about to. Here it is. I was having a barbecue with the family, and I was going to go, and we went to pick up some games for the kids to play, and I was picking up cornhole, and while I was at the sports store getting it, I kept seeing Liquid IV, and more, I'm so excited that people are learning about Liquid IV, because I've known about them now for a bit since they've been on the show. It's the summer. The summer is thick right now, and your favorite summer treat could be giving you extraordinary hydration. Liquid IV has refreshing summer flavors like popsicle firecracker, it's got rainbow sherbet. It hits the spot when you need transformative, hydrating relief all summer long. So I really do enjoy it. It's been nice to have it. I moved, and I live in a very humid area now, and it's great to have Liquid IV. It really is, and I love this popsicle one, so I'm showing it right now. So what you want to do is, they have so many different flavors too that makes it just really, really fresh. And you can choose from their line of sugar-free flavors. They have raspberry melon, they have white peach, they have green grape. It's great. You can go to the website and you can find all of it. It keeps your wellness rituals fresh, and it keeps you motivated, keeps you hydrated. So what you want to do is you want to tear, pour, live more. One stick, 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. It's powered by LIV Hydroscience, which is an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. It's got 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, 8 essential vitamins and nutrients, always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. So indulge in hydration this summer with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV, but you got to use liquidiv.com and use the code BIGTHING at checkout. You get 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today. Use that promo code BIGTHING at liquidiv.com.
All right. You know as well as I do, you've been standing at that gas station, you look over and you go, oh, sexual pills. I'm going to try one of those. Don't do it. They are not good over there. Not healthy. But Joy Mode is. What is Joy Mode? When you go to the gym and you take something to help you with your workout, it's the same thing with Joy Mode. It's a sexual enhancement performer, man. It's amazing, and it works. The issue is that over-the-counter pill, it contains unregulated chemicals, it suggests unsafe doses, and it includes the risk of several other health problems. That is why we are partnered with our friends over at Joy Mode. I tried it, and man, oh man, it just makes you feel good. It's that extra pep. It's not necessarily a step, but you get what I'm talking about. Whether you're looking to spice up your intimate moments or increase your confidence in the bedroom, Joy Mode makes all natural and science-backed supplements dedicated to helping men perform better across their core functions. Their trademark product, the Sexual Performance Booster, it's every man's solution for increased blood flow, firmness, stamina, and performance. It comes in a palm-sized packet like your favorite electrolyte powder. Simply mix 6 to 8 ounces of water 45 minutes before sexual activity and watch the magic unfold. Literally. Redefine your intimacy and go to usejoymode.com for 20% off with the code BIGTHING. Appropriate. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code BIGTHING at usejoymode.com. Ingredients with integrity. Joy Mode.
All right, thank you to Liquid IV. Thank you to Joy Mode. Both very, very wonderful sponsors. Happy to have them on board. And beforehand, I was talking about Andor Season 2. Now, Andor Season 1 was one of these things. Andor didn't do very well. Andor is the prime example of why you have things on streaming, because this is a difference between, let's say, Acolyte and Andor. Acolyte didn't get a lot of buzz, got the opposite of it, and a lot of people kind of fighting. The chances of people going back to rewatch it because they heard it was so divisive, I have to watch it, slim to none. That people are going to go back and want to watch it. Andor, every time I had a conversation about it, I heard that show's good. Should I watch it? It's like, yes, you should watch it. And they went back and watched it. It's the reason why Battlestar Galactica is still getting views today, because it's a good show and people keep going back to watch it. And that is what's going to happen. That's what happened with Andor, and why Andor was an overall hit, because people kept going back to watch it. You know what? I keep getting people. I didn't watch Andor when it came out, and I went back and watched it. That show's awesome. And season 2 will do significantly better, and it's going to get people excited again. And what it is going to do, put it in your wallets, take it to the bank, as they say. This is going to get everybody saying, do more stuff like this. And maybe this time, Filoni takes his hat down and says, okay, maybe we should do more stuff like this. I don't think he will. But that is what I think, because it's more like I said, Andor season 2 feels like it belongs on HBO Max, or Andor in general feels like it belongs on HBO Max. So the stuff at Star Wars Celebration, Andor season 2 pops. They don't mention anything else. They show Skeleton Crew. They mention Mandalorian and Grogu. That's it. They don't say what's coming out in December of 2026. Give it time. I think they have Star Wars Celebration coming up next year. I think it is in Japan. So that's probably when they have enough time, which is smart. Take your time, plan it out, understand where you're going to go. And I think they're going to start, pulling back, announcing stuff to where it's like, this is what is definitely happening now. Tell me what's coming out in 2026. Get it ready to move, ready to shoot. Same thing with 2027. What do you got? And redesign the whole plan. I do think that, as I've mentioned many times over, if you want to take this in a sports analogy type thing, that the Lucasfilm team at the moment is essentially a team that used to be champions, won titles all of the time. They've got a good lineup, but they're just not using it right. People are hitting home runs off of them. They're striking out at the plate all the time. They have an opportunity. They're coming in 4th place when they should be coming in 1st. And that usually has to do with leadership. That usually has to do with the coach, the manager, all of it. We've been saying it, then yes, bringing back the same people that have been screaming and yelling and hatefully calling for the end of Kathleen Kennedy. Take them, push them to the side, and again, go to that middle and say, as a reasonable conversation, do you think that this person is the right person who is running this company at the moment? And you've got to look at everything that is happening. Is this the team that is making it work? As I look, I say no. I don't think this is the team. They are not getting enough wins. They are not appeasing their fan base, the collective fan base. There are people who are happy with 4th place and say, oh, you guys will get there. Just keep it going. There are times when you have to make a change. It's time to make a change. That's what I think. So I'm sticking with it. So that's my show for today. That's it. That's all I got for you. I wanted to dive deep into this thing. Heard it was coming last night, the news, so I figured I'd share this with you. Love to get your thoughts. I'm sure we're going to have a real active comment section here today, so make sure you let your voices be known. Thanks for being here. Subscribe to the channel. Do everything that you need to do. Be nice to people. I know it's tough for some of you. Be nice. Try to have a conversation, because, it's like, this is what I said yesterday. If you start your comment with, look, I know so-and-so said this, or I know you said this, I don't agree, and I'll tell you why I don't agree. Do that. Stop yelling at people. There's enough hate out there. There really is. And in the same, and I'll throw it to the same people. Don't just go to calling somebody a racist or a misogynist right away if they don't like what you liked. It's very possible. And it's not very possible. It is 100% there are people like that out there. but it's not everybody. If somebody didn't like what you liked, ask them why. Maybe they'll have a conversation with you, and you can have the conversation back of saying, okay, I didn't see it that way. Let's talk it out. But just because you loved it and someone else didn't, doesn't mean they're the bad guys. It means that the show just might not have been good to a lot of other people. But who knows? Is this going to change anybody's opinions or anybody's thoughts? Probably not. But figured we could have the conversation. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow. I got a fall movie preview with myself and Matt Serra. That's right, former UFC welterweight champ. Matt Serra, we're going to be doing the whole fall movie preview tomorrow, so make sure you check that out. Thursday, Roxy and Brett. Roxy's going to be hosting the show. I will be out on both Thursday and Friday will be Coy and Winston. Winston will be hosting that show. So thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it. Thanks to all of you. See you on the flip side. Bye.